which is already available starting the 9th of April, a few days ago at the Ngurah Rai Airport. We're hoping to use to have the permit to use Kennos for those arrivals for the international flights. So currently, the acknowledged international procedure is actually PCR swab tests, but it takes a longer time and it's more expensive to do that. And we don't want to detain international tourists for more than 12 hours just to wait for the outcome of the PCR swab test. So we are lobbying the central government to use the Kennos, which will give you immediate information or immediate result within a couple of minutes. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Gilda.
Yeah, good.
Dad, you're still muted, Dad, if you want to get started, or we can't hear you for some strange reason. You have no headphones, or you're not. I guess you're not taking part today. Just checking. Heni, are you there? Dad, we can't hear you. Heni, can you hear us and can you say something just to double check?
Yeah, hello.
Okay, very colorful background, very nice.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Morning, Heni. And Adrian, can we just do a little sound check there with you?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep, that's great.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Good.
Good morning. I have been speaking for the last 15 minutes, but no one's been listening to me, but I'm not muted for some reason. Very strange. Oh, good morning, everyone. It's great to see you. We're going to get started in 1 minute, according to Miranda. Everybody doesn't know each other, but you're all part of this great movement we're doing this morning to try and get people back to Bali. You've all got the order of play. So we're not going to deviate from that unless you're excited about something and decide that we need to head off in another direction. So it's going to be me starting over to Eddie, Gilda first, then back to each of us are hosting different people, then back to Amanda, on to Heni, Lucienne, finishing up with Adrian, who's going to tell us all about the great co-working scene that they have developed down there. We know what the objectives are. We want to be attractive. We want people to come to Bali. So, we've got to be practical about it. But if we want people to get there, we need to look knowledgeable, excited, welcoming, all of the right things. And yes, thank you, Gilda. You don't need to actually dance on screen, but that would help a lot if you could. We want to keep it short and sharp. So we've done all of the presentations. Eddie, did you get any videos from anybody?
Yes, I got videos and presentations.
Okay.
So I've got, yeah.
And will you play those straight up after introducing us?
Yes.
Yeah. Apart from Lucienne, I'll play when Lucienne talks about. I'll show Lucienne's presentation when she talks about her what her offers are. And I think
Eddie, we're live now. So administration time is over.
But yes, that will be automatic. You don't have to think about it. And Adrian, if you can share your video when you want. All right. Great. I think it's over to you, Dad.
Okay, good morning and welcome everybody. I'm just going to give it a few minutes before we start the formal proceedings because we'd like to get as many people online as possible. We've already got a good bunch of about 50 people online already, which is fantastic in 30 seconds. So we know there's very strong interest in this event. The people you're going to listen to are experts on what's happening in Bali, what should happen, and how it can happen in terms of working from Bali. And we want to get as much information to you as we can over the next 1 hour. For those of you who are in Jakarta, we're delighted to welcome you. From all over Indonesia, we are hoping we can get people from as many provinces as possible, but of course the major cities are the ones that are looking to escape the urban blight and get away down to beautiful Bali. You can see the beach that Lucienne is sitting on the screen. I don't think that's live, but that's what it looks like anyway. It's wonderful. And the behind Amanda is the sort of villa that you want to stay in when you're working away from home. We're going to start in about 1 minute's time, so please everybody prepare for the Work from Bali webinar.
Just to dispel any rumors, no, Dad and I did not plan to wear Hawaiian shirts on the same day, but I guess we had the same thinking to look as tropical as possible for a Work from Bali webinar. This was not coordinated, but I'm glad we're thinking along the same lines there, Dad.
One has to look as if, even though I'm in South Jakarta at the moment, one has to look as if you're just ready to get on the beach or up the mountain or ready to go surfing. Okay, I think let's get started. People will be joining over the course of the next few minutes, but good morning, everybody. Welcome to this webinar on working from Bali. I'm Alistair Speirs. I'm co-hosting with my son, Eddie, who is down in Bali. We've got actually all the other participants here are speaking from Bali. They are the people who know about what it takes to make a life and work easy in Bali. The idea behind this whole Work from Bali thing came about 3 months ago when I believe the coordinating minister Luhut Panjaitan said, that's a good idea. Now we've had a few hiccups along the way. We've had some difficulties with the way in which foreign digital nomads have been perceived. That's all behind us now. And at the moment, until the borders open, we are looking at working from Bali for Indonesian residents. And I guess most of the people online today are Indonesian residents somewhere in Indonesia. We hope that there'll be some people in the Bali tourism industry listening as well, because they are the hosts. We need people to know what to do and what the regulations are. So if you're a hotelier or a villa owner listening now, we're glad to have you with us as well. You need to listen to what Gilda is going to say about the way in which the Bali government and the Ministry of Tourism are handling this. Now, one slight challenge which has arisen, of course, is the various ministries have put a stopper on mudik, the exit from the cities for the Idul Fitri holiday. We're not sure quite how that will play out. I was waiting for a pronouncement from the Ministry of Tourism yesterday. Maybe Gilda knows more about that. There is obviously a conflict between all of the ministries in charge of COVID and the Ministry of Tourism, who is trying very hard to push domestic tourism, and working from Bali is definitely tourism at its a new form of tourism, which is just as good as leisure tourism. So let's just dive around our speakers and tell you who we're going to be listening today. First of all, we have my son, Edward Speirs, who's the managing editor of Now Bali, and is one of the people who made the decision to work from Bali some time ago. So he's actually got personal experience about that and is still doing it now. But we have Gilda Sagrado, who's from the Bali Tourism Promotion Board, who is in contact with the Balinese government and knows the regulations and going to bring us up to date with all of the things that we are delighted about, but possibly confused about. Bubbles, corridors, and green zones being some of them, which I believe has nothing to do with bathing, but is to do with safety. We have got Amanda from the beautiful Viceroy up in Ubud, who has got facilities that you would just die to work out of. We've got Lucienne down on the beach in Canggu, who has got the most amazing hotel, which once again is a place which I would be delighted to spend 6 months working out of. Heni represents a new and very important part of the spectrum, which is the creative center, somewhere that people go to make podcasts, videos, recordings, the sort of thing that the modern digital nomad does. We've got Adrian from bWork Bali. It's a newly set up but extremely popular co-working space, and he's going to tell us why, how, where, and all of that. So Eddie, over to you to get started down in Bali. We're going to have questions and answers. Obviously, there'll be a lot of things that come up as we open up with each speaker, but then we're going to have a question and answer. To anybody who's got anything you'd like to say, there will be a Q&A. There's a chat, of course, there, and we'll be working with everybody who comes on chat and the Q&A. That's your form of communication with us. We've got a couple of people hosting behind the scenes to make sure we don't miss any questions. And we are looking forward to as many questions, observations, input as possible. Eddie, over to you.
Great, thank you, and good morning, everybody. Firstly, just to address sort of the panel that we have today, it's really because we think that working from Bali, everyone has a very narrow vision of what that means. So today is really about, number one, sharing or inspiring people in the many ways in which you can work from Bali, or the why, the benefits, but also maybe talk about some hurdles that if you're planning to come here, or if you're planning to invite people here, what are some things that people want, or you didn't know that Bali is providing, and knowing this information that changes your decision to come to Bali. So today we have with us Ibu Gilda Sagrado from the Bali Tourism Promotions Board. Welcome, Ibu Gilda.
Thank you very much, Eddie.
And I think this is really where it all started. I mean, you're speaking, I suppose, on behalf of sort of the government side of things. And the first person to really proclaim publicly that they were working from Bali was Sandiaga Uno,
Yes,
who said, "I'm moving over to Bali to work from Bali."
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, he made the move, and it seemed like an exciting time, and he sort of wanted to do a campaign on top of that. But I think he got caught up with the vaccinations and a lot of things once he did arrive. So I wanted to ask, is work from Bali still on the agenda as a way to promote people coming to Bali?
Thank you, Eddie. Firstly, good morning, everyone. Salam. Selamat menunaikan ibadah puasa and selamat Hari Raya Galungan for the celebrating. Thank you. Alistair, thank you very much for joining me for asking me to join this distinguished panel. I was asked to speak on behalf of the Bali Tourism Promotion. However, Alistair can easily replace me and even do a better job because I know how much you love Bali and how you easily promote it. You're a true Balinese at heart. Thank you also, Eddie, for embracing the passion of Alistair, a younger version of Papa. A little bit more handsome than Daddy, of course. But
I think it's in my contract.
Our center stage topic is work from Bali, and this has been on our agenda since the appointment. Our new Mas Menteri Sandiaga Uno as the Indonesian Tourism Minister. His brilliant concept is put to practice. He's walking his talk. Minister Uno has been working from Bali since his appointment in December 2020. He works in Bali Monday to Friday. He was even here when President Jokowi was here over the weekend, after the weekend of Nyepi, over the weekdays after the weekend of Nyepi, and then going home to Jakarta for the weekend. So in fact, this concept is so workable, is so good that we have noted that as many as 50,000 Indonesians and KITAS holders are now calling Bali office, we derived this broad data from our domestic tourist arrival survey at the Ngurah Rai airport. Yeah, this is really working out really well.
How is the airport, or how are the ports defining arrivals who are working from Bali? How are they being defined or separated from normal just tourists?
Luckily, the Bali Tourism Promotion has a station at the airport. It's called the Tourist Information Counter, and we have manpower to do our daily surveys. We know that the Badan Pusat Statistik, the BPS, the Central Statistic Bureau, only has quantitative data, but not the qualitative data of the tourism. So we do it, we take it upon ourselves, and we do it to actually understand the quality of the tourist arrivals. So we do a daily survey using our manpower available at the airport. We have been running this domestic tourist survey annually. And this time around, it is starting July that we've done this, because starting the 5th of July, the Bali government has already opened for the domestic tourism arrival. So we are noting, or we're asking the questions and doing the surveys to arrivals at the domestic terminal.
Okay. And is there still an active promotion on, because obviously we don't really have any international tourism. Is there any active promotion at the moment saying work from Bali, work from Bali, work from Bali, which, I mean, maybe because I live here, I haven't seen it, but I don't know in other countries, in other cities, if people are receiving that messaging, and if so, what kind of message are they receiving?
Okay. For now, the channels of promotion is mainly the Ministry of Tourism's owned media. This is supported extensively by the private sector, namely all the resorts who are offering the work from Bali packages. Widely promoted in Jakarta, Makassar, and Surabaya. We have identified these are the three main cities that have the domestic as well as the KITAS holders potentially taking up the packages.
Okay.
Packages, yes.
Okay. Thank you for that information. What are some of the requirements for domestic tourists? I mean, say they decide to come to Bali, are they just registered as normal tourists, even if they have to stay for a month, or even if they stay for 3 months? I think a lot of people might be worried that they have to, report to a banjar, or have to. It's a different level of visiting Bali, or can they just come as a tourist for 3 months and then go back to their cities, or is there more mechanism that's involved for long-term visitors?
In fact, there is not much of restraints or bureaucracy. If you want to work from Bali and you are a KTP holder or a KITAS holder, you're very free to either do that in Jakarta or come to Bali for 3 months. I know a lot of people from Jakarta are actually here working. I personally know them, and they are here Monday to Friday, and over the weekend they'll go back home and visit their family. So it's very workable, and there is no restraints or bureaucracy in respect to that. In fact, for PT or PMA, you can do that all over Indonesia. So Bali is definitely a great place.
Presumably, Gilda, the hoteliers will be able to tell us this in a second, that the hotels themselves do have to report to the authorities who their guests are. Is that correct, Lucienne? Yeah, so if you're staying in a hotel or a villa within the normal tourism spectrum, there is a reporting procedure there already. So that's taken care of. Is that right, Lucienne?
Yes, correct. So our reception has to report to the local police. And usually we also CC the banjar on how many occupancy we have per day and who our guests are, and we have to send them either a copy of the passport or KTP.
So all through Indonesia, when people go and stay somewhere for a length of time, there is a requirement to report to your RT or RW anyway. I mean, but that's when you're going to Bali, people don't really know what to do. If you're going to stay with your uncle and aunt in Bandung, you do. But in Bali, you're staying somewhere and you probably wouldn't know where to report to. But you think, Gilda, that's just, it's okay. We are concerned about this because it's just one of the little challenges that people might face to say, am I legal to stay in Bali? The answer is yes. If you're Indonesian, you can stay anywhere to stick within the regulations that you have, right?
Yes, thank you.
Good.
All right, that's good. Well, I mean, that's one of the hurdles that we need to get over. So in case people imagine or perceive that there's difficulty coming to Bali or they have to do things, the answer is there's no red tape. It's just your choice, really, and finding the place for you. So thanks for clearing that up, Gilda. And just two more questions. What is the message of why people should work from Bali that the government side is sharing to everyone? What are the reasons? For us, it's great for the industry. It's really good for the industry because there's so many splash off effects of long-term stayers. But what's the messaging of the why people should come to Bali from the promotion side?
Well, basically, it's actually our selling point to be able to have better clarity, better inspiration. You know, I've looked through the domestic packages of Tugu. They have a special rate of 7.5 million, including tax, for the Puri Lemayor. It's a villa floating on Lotus Pond, overlooking Indian Ocean, and you really need that kind of environment to do your business calls, to do your Zoom meetings. I mean, serious $1 million kind of contract discussion must be done, you know, overlooking the Indian Ocean, within the environment that has inspired the painter Lemaire and Nipolok. So, you know, that's the kind of environment that is supportive to the economy, and basically this message is about you know, not putting aside health, but bringing a focus on economy for the country, and I think for Bali, tourism being the backbone of Bali's economy, and economy is now gaining more and more of the focus because now almost 90% of Sanur community is vaccinated. 80% of the Ubud community is vaccinated, and Nusa Dua is vaccinated. So all these green zones are actually, you know, very attractive and very great environments for people to work from, and that's a good starting point for economy.
Actually, this is one of the points which I don't think people have quite understood. The Indonesian economy has not collapsed, but the Bali economy has, because it was so dependent on tourism. In Jakarta, apart from a few social distancing challenges, life goes on as normal. The company results are coming in for 2020 are pretty good. Most companies have not died. The banks have made more money. In fact, the rich have got richer over the last year, except in Bali, where life has ground to a halt because of lack of international tourism. So there is this, it's a little bit like giving to charity. You are doing good when you're working from Bali, doing good for yourself, but you're also doing good for the people of Bali who have no other source. And we still don't quite know when that source is going to open up and to what degree. So you are doing a lot of good by working from Bali. Every cent that you, every rupiah that you spend in the local economy will benefit everybody from the vegetable growers through to the taxi drivers. And of course, the hotels kind of need a little bit of help. don't they, as well? And we're going to get onto that shortly. Eddie, are you finished with the questions for Gilda?
Yes, I'm finished with the questions for Gilda for now. We'll have more open Q&A, but that's for the first session. Thank you so much, Ibu Gilda,
Thanks,
for sharing some of that insight from
Thank
the
you
Bali
indeed,
tourism.
Gilda. That was great. And I don't think you're going to get off with only 3 or 4 easy questions. I think we're going to get a lot more from our participants as well. We're going to move up to a beautiful villa in Ubud now, to the Viceroy, which is one of the just absolute luxury resorts, hill resorts in Indonesia, a place which attracts a very high level of traveler through its amazing, look at the villa behind Amanda, and of course the food and beverage outlets that they have there are fantastic. Now, why have we brought 2 top-level hotels on this webinar? Because everyone thinks that working from Bali is about a young guy with a backpack and a laptop sitting in a field doing his working from Bali, but that's not the case. Working from Bali starts at the very top end of the spectrum as well. People who are the top executives looking for somewhere to go. They don't need to work from home in Jakarta. They can go anywhere. So what we want to do is to look at what's being offered by places like the Viceroy. And Amanda Syrowatka, who's the general manager there, is going to tell us what the experience is, what you're offering. Amanda, give us the whole spiel of why they should be coming to Ubud and to Viceroy in particular.
Sure. Firstly, thanks so much, Alistair, for the kind words about Viceroy. And obviously your heart is really in getting people back to Bali. We have created a lot of packages over the last year. We've had domestic rates and other things, but the most interesting package, I think, has been our long stay packages, trying to get people to work at that sort of CEO corporate level across in Bali. So we have packages that are 4 or more weeks, or even 8 to 12 weeks long, with full board, all of your food. Like you said, we've got some great dining outlets. You've got luxury inclusion, so you can have a daily massage or yoga lessons. All of this can be built into the package. So if you're wanting a bit of that work-life balance and you're looking to improve yoga or detox or do all of these things alongside your working from Bali, then that's possible with us. The other thing which makes Bali in general great, but specifically Viceroy, where we've got the new Wi-Fi 6 protocol, and we're actually the first hotel in Indonesia to adopt that. And so that gives us, that's linked to a 1 gigabyte per second internet connection. So essentially working from here is no issue. It's going to be as good, if not better, than your office in Jakarta or Surabaya or wherever you are.
Wow. Do you have a video to show us,
I do.
Amanda? I think is it possible to do that now? Let's just
I've
illustrate this.
got it. Yes, we'll play that now for you. One moment. Oops, sorry. Here we go. Can everyone see?
Yep.
Sound is coming through, hopefully.
No sound yet.
Oh,
Oh, skipping a bit.
there we go.
Well, I'm sure that's made everybody who's sitting in their offices in Jakarta, Surabaya, and Makassar just faint with envy. Having been to your great establishment, that really is what it's like. It's just a gorgeous place. Hard to do any work though, Amanda, with all of these distractions. How do you lock people away to make sure that they actually have got private workspace to get away from the crowds?
Well, I think it's important to realize that everybody works differently, so at different paces or has different commitments like family. So it all depends what their end goal in Bali is. But all of our villas are, 150 square meters plus, with a desk, with an outdoor table dining area. We've also got full conference room facilities and a lot of different areas in the hotel where you can set up in a ballet by the main infinity pool. It depends on your style of working. If you prefer that more rigid formal, there's the conference area. Or if you prefer to be on a deck chair in a bikini by the main pool, then you can do that too.
I don't think I'll be going for the bikini option, Amanda, but apart from that, it sounds exactly right. So there's the point, everybody. We're not dealing just with backpackers who are living off $5 a day. That's not the point. The point is you're going to actually enjoy every minute of working from home if you do it in Bali in a luxury environment. I'm sure there'll be people coming back to you with questions as well, Amanda.
Yeah, I think it's important to note there that we previously didn't really target CEOs and corporates and business owners because everybody thought they had to be in the office every day and they had one-on-one personal meetings. But now that the whole world's changed, we do realize that you don't actually have to be sitting at that desk in that office, and there's a lot more flexibility now.
Oh, exactly. Well, we've learned how to do that. We're doing it right now. We can do it from anywhere. In fact, I could be telling you I'm in Jakarta, but I could be in New York. It wouldn't make any difference at all. Apart from the fact I'm really quite happy to be in Jakarta. Eddie, back to you to bring forward the sort of facilities that people are looking for in different fields. Now, if you're a top executive, you probably are speaking to your department heads through Zoom, through telephone, through the computer. But there are other people who are looking for facilities, aren't they? I mean, this is the more classical and the new generation of working from home. The people are looking for ways to be creative. Now, I think we've got somebody who's going to take us through that.
Yes. So firstly, thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Stad. So moving on a little bit and changing or sort of sharing what's possible on the island is important because as we all know, sort of job occupations, careers have changed and the way in which people work have changed. And especially for younger executives at the moment, a lot of their work is based on either personal entrepreneurship or creating content. And that's why we have Genesis Creative Center here with us today. So welcome, Heni.
Thank you, Eddie.
Heni, maybe if you can share a little bit, what is Genesis Creative Center for everyone listening?
Okay, so good morning, everyone. Genesis Creative Center is one of the Bali first creative hub. Our place is a platform for creative minds in Bali or everyone who come to Bali to create something. We have like these multi-purpose and multi-creative studios. Our most popular is photo and music studio where people can film their course or podcasts or voiceover, yoga video, wellness video, anything like that. And we also have an art and fashion studio for those who really keen to learn paintings or sewing course and stuff like that. And also we have a co-working that is a solid base for a creative community, especially here in Canggu. And we also have like these sort of services for people who wants to make like a digital content, because we all know since the pandemic, everyone, there was a spike that is people from offline businesses going online. So that's also one of the reasons that we have these online services for all-round people making the content, not only for their brands, but also for their business and etc. Yeah.
Great. So this is, if I'm not mistaken, after the pandemic started, you're probably one of the few businesses that saw, well, not straight away, but you saw a rise in business slowly after the pandemic started last year in Bali, because a lot of your clients had to get online. Is that correct?
Yeah.
They had to create
Yes.
content
So
to go online.
yeah. So I mean, like, as a business, we also COVID hits the same effects with us. Like I think like during YP last year, we closed about for like 2 weeks, but then suddenly there is this surge of people who see this opportunity that, oh, everyone now has like more time, and then they spend most of the time online and everything. So there is sudden needs, there is a sudden demand for people to make an online content, so that, okay, so let's see. So we started to accept like a private bookings in our studio, and that's when people like really keen to learn something. Like I think we are all at some point in this pandemic learn something new, right? So there is search on that, and there is search on like people who wants to teach, and then okay, let's do this online thing, because now like suddenly a course business booming. So that's when we have this platform to accommodate these people who wants to create something, making their content.
Great. So you mentioned podcast creators, photographers, people making courses online, people doing Zoom conferences, sort of professional Zoom conferences and filming them there. So quite a big range, and you said your music studio also, so people like DJs and music producers are also using them. Great. So let me just show the video so people understand. It's quite a difficult product to really understand. So I'm just going to show this video that you shared with us. Thank you. Hopefully the sound is being shared. Yes, good. Great. Well, that really encapsulates sort of, you know, working from Bali is like finishing up the day with a drink in your hand and a sunset, you know, and that's part of the life here. I think you guys are in a really great position to tell us a little bit more about the people who are currently working from Bali, the creatives working from Bali. So, you know, what are some of their backgrounds? Can you firstly tell me, have you had a lot of repeating customers since the pandemic, especially?
So yeah, there's like a slightly different audience or clients that we had in Genesis pre-COVID and after currently. Some of the backgrounds, so as I mentioned before, like our most popular studio are photo and music studio. So we have like those broad range of people doing this kind of content, like the audio and video visual. And their demographics is really also like in a broad range, but mostly our clients are from UK or Europe, and then that's about like 40%, and then Americans and Russians is about like they share like the same 20%, and we had like some locals as well, Indonesians that come here mostly from Jakarta or Bandung, or they about like 10%, and others is just other from nationalities. And then their range of spending power in our place is about 400k rupiah to 1 million rupiah. That's like about 60%. Sadly, I have to be honest, looking at our demographics, it's mostly still dominated by foreigners. So just like side notes, it will be great to see like more locals to come here to create something. But like, because we mostly see these people, these creatives, they are like working behind the lenses. So we have like friends of a videographer or like a music producer, but they're sort of like working on somebody else's project. So we really like to see and encourage people to come here, not just like for like a 3 days holiday, but like also to find inspirations and then to actually like put effort and time to create something here, maybe just to find like these inspirations or something like that. So yeah, that would be great to see like more people or creatives that is like still live in Jakarta or Surabaya to come in Bali to try out these multiple outlets to see like, oh, that I can really work for this, because you know, like creativity doesn't really have boundaries. So like, you know, experimenting is the essential part.
Great, thank you so much, Heni. Yeah, absolutely. There's a huge creative scene in Jakarta, and like you said, it just makes so much sense for creative people to be, like Ibu Gilda said, in a place where you get inspired. Yeah. So it makes so much sense for creatives to come. And with a place like Genesis, I know there are places offering, you know, other creative styles, but really you're quite unique in what you're offering. But there are the services and there are the products that enable that creativity for whatever you want to make. Just a last question, going back to the people who are there. Can you tell me, so have you had people ongoing returning back to Genesis for their projects?
Yes. So we recently we had like people buying like these packages. So we also like offer a long hours project for people who really want to establish their project. We have like about like 20 or 50 hours packages, and we had yeah, as I mentioned before, we have like these repeating customers, either from like the people who are behind the lenses or like building their own brand, and most of them are the life coaches who make a course, because online course is such a high demand here, and also a podcaster. We also have voiceover people and people who record a song. So yeah, that's mostly our ongoing customers here.
Great, that's good to know, because it just shows that Bali does have people really investing in their life in Bali for a long time. And that's what we want to know. And that's for other people to understand that there are people here doing it and doing it for a long time that they can do. So that's a great message to share. Thank you so much, Heni, for sharing a little bit more about Genesis Creative Center and the people that go to Genesis as well. So Dad, I think it's back to you now.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed, Heni. Look, so we're beginning to build up a picture that's very much the expected end, though, I think, Eddie, Heni. Those are the creative people who go to Canggu. Now, we know that internationally people have made these lifestyle choices for much longer than the young people of Indonesia have. I mean, you know, the Australians, Americans, New Zealanders, when they leave university, they go traveling. That's beginning to become a trend in Indonesia now, but not quite as much as the international market. So it's good to hear that Canggu, Brawa is still full of foreigners. hopefully all on legal status, of course, but it's good to know that they're there. But let's get more Indonesians down there and being more creative. Now, we're going over to Lucienne, who's just down the road in Canggu, the anchor of Canggu, the people who started it all in Tugu hotels before it became full of lifestyle. It was classic lifestyle in Tugu Hotel. Lucienne, how are things going in Canggu now? Do you have people coming to take the marvelous facilities that you have and use them on a long-term basis? Is that something which the Tugu Bali is doing?
Yes, definitely. Basically, we started this work from Bali long-term package, actually, I have to say, a couple of months before Pak Sandiaga Uno, maybe he copied my idea, actually. So we started in around September, October, and we had a very good response from both domestic market and also international market. Of course, not good news for us, but good news for everybody who has the idea of coming to Bali is that now there's no better time to come to Bali to have long-term stay from hotels. At Tugu, our rate now is pretty much 35% of what it used to be before the pandemic. And you get all these benefits. If you stay more than 1 week, you get, I think 15% off further from the already 35%. And then if you stay the third week, it goes down. So if you stay month by month, the rate is very competitive compared to staying at villas, just a lot more convenient.
For those who haven't been to your property, can you describe it for us, Lucienne? What makes Tugu somewhere just amazing to come and live and work out of?
Yeah, Eddie, maybe you can just run it. You don't have to. So for those who don't know anything about Tugu, our whole mission of Tugu is really to bring back to life and to tell the stories of the history, the art, the culture, the romance of the past kingdoms of Indonesia. So we want to take people on a journey back to the different centuries where you can experience the Majapahit kingdom and you can experience the first immigrants, the Peranakan who arrived in Bali. So we use a lot of artworks and antiques, but in combination with modern luxuries. So, for example, there are a temple of 1750 that has been moved into the property. We are very, very fortunate that we are located right in front of Batu Bolong Beach. So we are the closest hotel in front of the beach in Batu Bolong Street. And as people who don't know about Canggu, like Alistair said before, has so many people still living in Canggu and still operating as normal because the town itself, Canggu, is so livable. It really offers world-class facilities comparable to New York and Sydney and London, except it's much nicer because you have the beach, the ocean, and of course the hospitality and the warmth that the Balinese are so famous for. Definitely much nicer than New Yorkers and Londoners in a gray winter day. We are just
Since you've got stuck on the beach there, Eddie, can we move on to the accommodation?
Yeah, so as you can see from these pictures, the atmosphere is very Balinese, it's very artful, and every room tells a story. On 1 hectare of land, there's only 21 units, suites and villas. So people or our guests love to stay for long term because every unit feels like a home, separate. It's very good for social distancing if you don't want to see people. But I think part of why Tugu is very attractive to long-term guests and people working from Bali is also somehow the artful ambience really foster creativity. And I have so many feedbacks from guests who come and they had this feeling they were being stuck in their routines and they couldn't get new ideas flowing back to where they came from, back where the offices are. And Bali really give a new energy to them. And also the interaction with the other guests who are staying at Tugu, no matter how important they were back where they came from before, Tugu really let all the guards down, and through discussions by the pool and through discussions over a cocktail at the lobby or at G rooftop on the 3rd floor, they really offer each other solutions, and they really foster creativity from one another. And many times they actually manage to build business partnerships, and if not, just very good friendships that last for a long time.
So we've got networking just by the sheer ambience of the place, and of course the fact that the same sort of people are attracted to be there as well, Lucienne, yeah?
Correct, right. And before, at maybe 10 years ago, we only catered to honeymooners, but now again, because there are more and more families and so many great things to offer for families around us, we're seeing a lot more family guests as well at Tugu. As you know, Balinese are great with children. So another benefit of staying in a hotel is that there's always stuff to play with your children. So they're never bored. Also, Canggu, as you know, has every single offerings for any hobby. So whether it's surfing or horseback riding, and inside the hotel itself, if you're interested in learning how to do Balinese painting or ceramic making or Balinese dance and any kind of musical instruments, everything is possible inside the hotel or just steps away outside of the hotels. And then for the people who are very interested in health and well-being, we are surrounded by so many great yoga shalas, great co-working spaces, gyms, wellness, spas, of course, fantastic restaurants, and always the possibility of ending your workday upstairs watching the Indian Ocean at G is, of course, a great plus.
Fantastic. I know that when I stayed there, the outside area on your upstairs rooms it's just somewhere you think, I should be writing a novel. I should be sitting there. I should have my coffee and be just being creative. It's a great place. Very briefly, we're only talking about work from Bali, but I noticed that you've got somewhere in Lombok, which might be even more socially distancing and more remote. Very quickly, to tell us what we've got there.
Yes, one big problem of Tugu Lombok is that once you're there, it's impossible to leave. It's a little bit like Hotel California. So every guest that we have there always say, okay, we're only coming for a long weekend. And then they end up staying for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. The property is sprawled over 6 hectares of land with only 35 villas. It has probably kilometers long, very calm, white sand beachfront where you can do diving, snorkeling, right in front of the hotel, and also we're just 10 minutes away from the Gili Islands. And the property itself also tells a lot of beautiful stories from the ancient Mahabharata, from the 14th century Hindu times in Lombok, and moving on to the Muslim times and the Dutch colonial times and times of the Hindu kingdom. So Lombok itself is very rich in history, and just like all the other Tugu, it is always our mission to really tell these stories and make people discover new things that are very innovative for also their modern life and their current work.
Thank you, Lucienne. I'm now completely confused as to whether I need to work from the Tugu or the Viceroy, but basically I don't want to be sitting here anymore, that's for sure. This is completely the wrong place to be. I got to be down in Bali, living the life and still working hard. But we're going to move on to the more classical working from Bali scenario through co-working spaces. Eddie, you've got another guest to introduce. Thank you very much to Lucienne. That was inspiring as always, and we love your hotel. And anyone who hasn't been there, don't wait. Go and try it out right now.
Thank you, Alistair, Eddie.
Great, thank you. So our next speaker today is Adrian Kamdani. Welcome, Adrian.
Yes, hello everyone.
Now, if you haven't heard of them before, bWork Bali, they opened, when did you open, Adrian?
Well, we opened just 2 months, almost 2 months now.
About 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And well, the reason we've chosen you, as we've shared, is because you kind of change a little bit the perception of what a co-working space might look like. I think when you think co-working space, people think, you know, you've got one foot in the rice fields and everything's outdoor. Unfortunately, it's not, even though it looks idyllic, it's not always what the domestic market wants necessarily, right? So bWork Bali is something brand new, and please tell us a little bit more about your space.
Okay, maybe before I start talking about the co-working space, maybe just let me share a quick video about the space so everyone can have an idea of how the space looks like, so then I can explain it better after.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Just a minute.
No problem. And are you there right now, Adrian, at bWork?
No, actually, I'm not there today because I'm in Ubud now.
Well, I mean, that basically spells one of the great reasons to work from Bali, is because, you know, about half an hour
just work from anywhere.
Work from anywhere, and then you shouldn't be defined by one place. And this idea of like the weekly staycation or the weekly escape, that's so easy for anyone working here. So even if you're working nonstop for 7 days down in Canggu or down up in Ubud or Sanur, you can just the next week you just go on a holiday, and that doesn't mean taking a flight. That just means just drive away for half an hour to an hour, and you're somewhere new. So that's a really huge pull. Yeah, I mean, you're a new work from Bali, right? So you basically moved over with bWork Bali. Is that right, Adrian? Yeah.
Yes.
So you're very recent. So you're a perfect example of why you're one of the examples of someone who's newly working from Bali. So yes, please show us the space.
Okay, let me start. There you go. Can everyone see the video?
Yep.
Yeah, that's all about the video. So, okay, now let me just start sharing more about bWork Bali.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, the place is, why the first was built is because we want to bring the best co-working space experience in Bali. You know, I think bWork kind of step up the game of co-working space well, we are in Canggu, but I think we kind of step up the game of co-working space in Bali, and our aim is to help entrepreneurs and traveling professional to find their ideal workplace, and at the same time also find their work-life balance while they are working from Bali.
Perfect. That's a great intro.
Yeah, and yeah, so we designed the space to be as comfortable as possible so that, you know, our members can be more productive and, you know, can achieve more in a shorter period of time, you know, so they can have more time to spend, you know, just to enjoy Bali.
Great. So, I mean, I've been to bWork, and I noticed a big difference. Number one, you're like 3 stories high, and most of your workspaces are indoor and in AC.
Yeah. Right.
So it's a really sort of polished office environment. Why did you think that was important? Why is that important, you think?
Yeah, because I mean, you know, like, yes, you are in Bali to work, but still, you know, when we talk about work, we need to understand that working is working. You need to be comfortable while you are working. You know, you cannot be productive when you are working under the sun. You know, a lot of it. You know, it's just not comfortable for you to work. So we noticed that many co-working space, I mean, they neglect the maybe maybe they want to give more vibe of being in Bali, and they bring it to the co-working space. But I think when it comes to work, like, you need to make your members feel comfortable working there. You need AC, you need a good soundproof in the room, so they can be, they can concentrate more, they can be more focused at work. So yeah, I mean, that is the reason why we have an indoor space, fully AC, so that everyone can just comfortably work there and be more productive, and they can just focus at their work.
Right. So it's giving that option of an office environment for the people living in Bali who want it, basically, right? If they need that kind of space, that's what you're providing. Now, you opened about around 2 months ago, and your whole space has a capacity for about 300 people, but you're not doing that, obviously, for social distancing and for safety at the moment, but you're already full. You've already reached your maximum capacity in 2 months.
Yes.
So the demand is very high.
That's right. That's right.
Can you tell us about, I mean, you're also more premium than a lot of the co-working spaces, and you're full. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about the people who are there, and what is their background. They're obviously, they have, tell us a little bit about their background and their spending power as well.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So what I noticed that, we actually full, I mean, we have the place filled up in 2 weeks. And and then after that, we just need to keep everyone on the waiting list. So and then another reason why we are keeping the numbers of members at 130 is we just want to give more space, because like yes, you are saying that we are premium. Yes, it's a fact that we are, I think, now the most expensive co-working space in Canggu. So we are trying to give them different experience as well. So we don't want the place to get too crowded. So the member can feel that giving the exclusivity for the members, and yeah, I mean, I think about the background, like, I noticed that most of our members here are they are software developers. They build website. Basically, they are just tech. I mean, they're involved so much in technology. Software developer, application, and things that has to do with technology. So yeah, that's something that we did not expect, because at first, we thought we will be attracting more of an entrepreneurs, but not specifically a tech or a web developer. But well, it happens that most of our members now, they are involved in tech, and also maybe like cryptocurrency,
Cryptocurrencies,
something that has crypto. Yeah. So yeah, there are a lot of crypto guy in our space, and
they've got money.
Spending power.
They've got money to spend. The crypto guys have got money to spend. Yeah.
Yeah, they've got a lot of money to spend, because like we have 3 different options of membership. Okay, and then most of them, they will buy the most expensive membership plan, and they buy it for 3 months. Because they just buy it straight for 3 months. And I also noticed that like I talk to them, I try to get to know them, like where they live, what they do in the weekend. Like most of them, they live together. They are renting a villa, and it's not just a small villa. It's a luxury, expensive villa by the beach in Kararanan, in Sese, somewhere I think somewhere that is quite distance from the main area, because they want, when they are home, they want to have a quiet space, and then when they come to work, they want to be at work, they want to focus at work, so they kind of work hard, play harder kind of guy.
Okay, great.
But they are solid.
And what's their work cycle like? I mean, do you see people still doing the 9 to 5 even on their own schedule?
Okay, now this is a really good question, because the other day I was talking to a few of them, and I asked them, like, how long do you usually spend at work? And the answer that I got is like, we actually trying to reduce the numbers of hours that we spend at work. So this month we maybe we will come to work like from every Monday to Friday, you know, from 8 to 5, but you know, we're trying to make it shorter, like, you know, next in the following months we will come maybe only on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and we will only be here for 3 to 4 hours, and that's actually happening, you know. So yes, we've got a lot of members, but like most of them, they will only be there for like 4 hours. I think I noticed 4 to 5 hours in average. It's just, yeah,
Okay.
that's the average length of hours that they spend in the co-working space.
Okay, that's interesting. Just to see when they are given that freedom, what are people's work schedules like, right? Especially these people who are able to work remotely. Because it also says people here in Indonesia, sort of, even if you're a workaholic, you can still be a workaholic in Bali. And when that time you're not working means that you can enjoy life better. So, you know, do your 9 to 5, do your 8 to 5, whatever it is. But afterwards, you know that you're going to be in a place where you can relax much better, have a better weekend, even if you're working hard. So that's a very interesting insight there. Thank you so much, Adrian. And just last question is, where are the majority of your clients from at the moment?
Okay, so the majority, number one, I think, can I just mention the name of the country?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. The number one, I think the number one members that we have now is French, and then followed by Dutch. We have a very big Dutch community in the co-working space, and then Germans, and then UK, US, and the last one is Vietnam, and well, there are only three of them there, and other Asian country like Korea, and then Indonesia. We've got some local people there, but they've been living in Bali for, I think, more than 3 years now.
Okay, so they're not new. They're not coming to do a work from Bali, basically. Okay, all right. Well, that's great insight. Thank you so much, Adrian. And great to see sort of the change of offerings and experience that that people can have, and that professional experience that people might be looking for if they're working from Bali. Thank you so much. That's super. Dad.
Okay. Look, what we've now been through all of our speakers. We understand that there are very successful areas which are working now. One of the areas which is most in need of help is the actual classical hotels, though. Well, one of the great online things that we get nowadays, of course, that people go on and they can get a villa for next to nothing because, like the hotels, they're suffering. So you can do your Airbnb and all of that sort of booking, which is great, you know, as long as people come to Bali. But we do want this to be focused on helping the hospitality industry, especially the hotels, because they are the ones most in need. They are the people who employ the most as well. So while renting a villa does help, we do want to encourage people to come back to the hotel. So we need to get this group of hotels. Gilda has said that there are people who are promoting this. I personally haven't seen very much promotion in Jakarta, which could be much better coordinated. And certainly we at Now Jakarta will now start running a work from Bali directory online. And that's one of the things that we'll start as a result of this. Where do you go and stay? Where do you go and work? What can you do? And it'll just be a very simple directory, but anybody can join. And I think we'll just have that as a click on in our website, and we'll run updates on our e-news and in the magazines as well. It's just something that I think people can refer to, and I hope we'll work with Gilda and her team on this. And the hotels present, of course, will be our first to be exposed. The people who have helped us today will certainly be the first to be exposed, but we'd really like to see more people doing this. Look, we have medical tourism, we've got ecotourism, we've got educational tourism. Working tourism is something which is completely new and is now quite possible. So I think we need to add that to the types of tourism that we have defined in the past. And now it's going to be a new category, which has new rates, new facilities, new ways of looking at it. Amanda and Lucienne have already embraced that. They've got their packages together. They've got things that they're going to say. But now we need the government to start promoting that as well. Gilda, take us quickly through the green zones so that people know about that. I think we're still a little bit concerned about what you've told us, that people are already vaccinated. What constitutes a green zone? So somebody is now listening to us and is going, I'm going to stay in Bali. Where are the safe places according to the green zones?
Green zones for Bali is now identified to be Nusa Dua, Ubud, as well as Anhar. So these three areas have more than 75% of their community vaccinated already. So that constitutes for a green zone area. And this, with the approval from the Ministry of Health, is or will be promoted heavily by the Ministry of Tourism. So these three areas.
But we've got most of the people we're talking to are in Canggu. That is not part of your green zone. What can you get the vaccinations down there immediately, please?
Vaccinations are done by the three kabupaten or regency level of the government. So Canggu or Batu Bolong area or Berawa is allocated for Kabupaten Badung or the Badung Regency. They are also given allocations for the vaccinations. And for those hotels who are already have their employees fully vaccinated, you can actually heavily promote that also as one of your selling points.
Excellent. We've got some, thank you, Gilda. One last thing. Look, when we had the opportunity a couple of weeks ago to meet with the minister, he stated on record that Bali will open in June or July, depending on a series of conditions of rate of infection and rate of vaccination and so on and so forth. When that opens, you said there are already some travel corridors, travel bubbles, which are already being opened up with certain countries. Will they be the first corridors to be opened? Or how can, you know, the world, the tourism is a consumer-driven thing. You know, if somebody wants to come to Bali and they can get on a flight, they get on a flight. What's the difference between a travel bubble, a travel corridor, and the consumer desire to come to Bali?
Travel corridor agreement, or widely known as travel bubble, is actually a G2G, so a bilateral agreement between two countries, allowing the citizens of that country to enter another country without having to go through typical quarantine or typical arrival of the procedures of of visitor arrival. That foreign visitors right now for Indonesia, you have to have a PCR swab test upon arrival, even though you have shown a PCR swab test upon your departure from your country. Upon arrival into Indonesia, you have to have another PCR swab test in Indonesia and then have a 5-day quarantine. So that is a typical visitor procedure for foreign arrivals into Indonesia. And if you are a citizen from a TCA country, so namely right now Indonesia has signed up agreements with Singapore, UAE, South Korea, and China. So from these 4 countries, citizens from these 4 countries, if they use the TCA or the Travel Corridor Agreement route, they will not need to do the 5-day quarantine anymore.
Is that effective now, Gilda, or is that after borders are opened?
It is already effective. The TCA has already been signed bilaterally between Indonesia and the 4 countries. However, many are not using it yet, or maybe they are not aware on how to use it yet.
Okay, Lucienne and Amanda, 4 countries, Singapore, China, South Korea, and United Arab Emirates, are available to as markets for you. Have you heard about this, and are you marketing to them at the moment? Lucienne, why don't we start with you?
To be honest, no, I have heard of rumors. I did not know that it was signed. Thank you, Gilda, for letting us know. Now we're going to gear up all our sales and marketing team to attract these 4 markets. From what I understood, though, that the flights are not yet available directly until, I think you mentioned May or June for these charter flights.
Yes, talks are now being done to actually have charter flights arrangements for citizens or for destinations for 2 countries at the moment.
Does that, sir, one more question. Does that mean, for example, Singapore has been doing 14-day quarantine? People coming from Singapore into Indonesia would not need quarantine anymore under this agreement. But does that mean when they go back to Singapore, they don't need to do this 14-day quarantine as well in Singapore?
That's
Good
right.
point.
There is a procedure already in place. So Singaporeans arriving into Indonesia via the corridor of the TCA will not need quarantine in Indonesia, as well as when they return in Singapore.
That's good.
Wonderful.
Now, this may not be your biggest markets for the 2 of you, but they certainly are available markets under these arrangements. So hopefully we'll get more people now focusing on that, because we really don't mind where they come from, as long as they come and start supporting the industry. And if they're going to stay in the hotels and go to the restaurants and use the working spaces, we'll be delighted to have them. We've got a couple of questions online, if I can just, from Sarah Brettauer, who says, is the work from Bali promotion open to long-term visitors too? The answer, of course, is yes. When Bali is open, you can come and stay. That under the new arrangements, right, Gilda? You
Yes.
will be able to come and stay and work without having to have a KITAS or a KITAP, so on and so forth. But that's not quite in place yet, right?
For the tourist visa, is right now being it's under this discussion, and we're hoping that it will be released shortly.
Yeah, because that's one of the things, to get a work in Bali visa. That's what people are looking for the international side.
For business visa, that is already available.
Yes,
and
good.
It is online, so it's an e-visa.
Okay. Cecilia Salim has also said she's running her own consultation services as a creative planner, helping clients to prepare their marketing plans. That's exactly a good business to be in down in Bali. She wants to spread her wings and get some. Not sure how to start. Well, I can tell you how to start, Cecilia. You get on a plane, you book into one of these great hotels, and you go out to one of the co-working spaces, and you meet people and speak to them and get on and with your networking. Those are the only questions I've had on. Oh, there's more coming now, of course. There's more questions coming. Eddie, have you got any more at the we've answered the one about the 4 countries already, which is good.
Well, there's just a very quick question that says, what about online English teaching? And this, I can talk about this personally. One of my neighbors actually teaches English online, or teaches languages online, and has been here for about 3 months and doing just that, and just really enjoying the Bali lifestyle, and spending about 4 to 6 hours every day teaching online, and has her own schedule. And then that can be done from home or at co-working spaces most of the time. But people teaching English, because it's needs to be live on camera, usually they look for private spaces, whether that's rented or they find a place with good internet if their accommodation offers that. Obviously, hotels like Tugu and Viceroy would have great internet, so that would be an obvious option. Of course, not all lower price accommodation necessarily has great internet if that is your occupation. So it's really finding out and researching on these little facts that you need if you want to work from Bali. What do you need, and what do you need to make sure that you have available? Because it's all here. It's just a matter of finding the right area that you want to live in. Does it have what you want? Whether that's, you prefer being up in the mountains or you prefer being down by the beach, but do those areas have exactly what you need as well? If you're a photographer, do you need a studio? That kind of thing. So yes, teaching English online, if that's something that you do and want to do it from Bali, I don't see a reason why you should be doing it from Jakarta or from wherever city you're in. If you're teaching English online, that is 100% reason to come to Bali and live from Bali, I would say.
There's a whole area which is open to discussion now, Gilda, and it's something I hope that you can take back to the Bali government and to the Ministry of Tourism. Google, if I'm not mistaken, has said that they're not going to actually have people come back to the office unless they, for some time, in their headquarters in the US. There's quite a lot of major corporations in Jakarta who have made that decision to do pretty much work from home for the last year. But there hasn't been any corporate marketing of Bali to say, look, move all of your people from Unilever or Medco or the big conglomerates down to Bali and say, look, here's the new complex. We'll take 50 people and give them a new way of life down here. That's the very big picture of work from Bali, which hasn't been explored yet either. Yeah. Also decongests Jakarta. Sorry to the real estate boys who are going to suffer in this whole thing, but you've made a lot of money over the years. Is that something that we can also discuss, the actual permanent relocation of people to a better lifestyle?
Yes, that will be a very interesting concept, and I think it's workable. So yeah.
I mean, let's go into that a little bit further offline. Today, sure. We have explored the practicalities and a little bit of the luxuries as well of working from Bali. We've had the insight from two working spaces from Genesis Creative Center in Canggu. Both of them are in Canggu. Will be quite nice. There are quite a lot of other working spaces in Sanur. Are there any in Nusa Dua, coming to think about it? There's a green zone. Does it have any co-working spaces at all?
Jimbaran has one. Not sure about Nusa Dua actually, but that is very, very underutilized. And this is a really good question. Maybe Amanda, as an Ubud resident, you can share a little bit. But do you think that because Canggu, as Lucienne has said, Canggu has done well to create sort of a hub of very lively township, basically. Do you see that being duplicated in any other areas, for example, in Ubud? Ubud started off.
I think absolutely in Ubud, and just north of Ubud, you've got a huge co-working area, which also has accommodation called Park or Parku. And they are mostly, it seems, the Russian market. That's just who they're getting in, and I think owned. But you're seeing more and more smaller co-working spaces also popping up in Ubud. Of course, some of the ones that have been around for years, like Ubud, they're closed at the moment.
Outpost, I think, are still open.
Yeah. So there's some closed, some open, but there are new ones popping up all the time. And you find cafes are getting better to work in. There is that community building in Ubud for sure.
Okay, great. But it's just that liveliness, I think Canggu can be, without the hedonism, Canggu can be a really great, example or case study for other areas of Bali to be like, how can we create such a liveliness that at least keeps some businesses alive? And that has been a lot of the working from Bali people, whether they're foreign, whether they are domestic, but that there's a lot of potential there for each area to develop, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
The problem is, though, that you can't force these things. They have an organic growth. I mean, the concept of Nusa Dua as a safe, manicured enclave has worked over a period of time. It's now showing a little bit of the downside because it is a very much a man-made and managed place rather than one which has grown organically with the demand for a new lifestyle. It'll come back because it is a safe and beautiful enclave, but it's just interesting how these things have a life of their own.
Yep. Last question. Somebody's asking about Eid travel restrictions, Ibu Gilda. What are they and how can we stop them?
What travel restrictions, sorry?
Eid al-Fitri.
Oh, Eid al-Fitri. Yes. Well,
yeah, that's a difficult one. Sorry, Gilda.
6th of
Throw you
May,
in the deep
you
end.
who made the rules.
1st of May restriction, and that is already being implemented. So no second question to that. For the industry,
Okay.
There's always a way. When there's a will, there's a way. So just go for it. That's all I can say.
So travel has officially been banned for the Eid al-Fitri domestic traveler, yes?
For mudik.
For mudik.
Underline for mudik, but not for tourism. I haven't seen that.
Okay.
I read the regulations the other day, and they are quite draconian.
When do they start? Do you know?
6th of May to the 6th to the 16th.
All the way 31st of May.
Wow.
Well, the ones I saw were to the 16th.
Yeah.
And it did say you have to have a letter of authority, and it has to be travel with a purpose, and so on and so forth. And it was really quite difficult to, I mean, you still can, I mean, I'm happy to, Eddie can write a letter to me saying it's essential I come to our office in Bali. That may work, but maybe we are waiting for a response from the Ministry of Tourism as to how domestic tourism will work during that period, because there usually is an outflow from the cities of people who are not mudik. They're non-Muslims, Christians, Chinese, Hindus, Buddhists who are going to have a holiday because the businesses are closed. So there is a different market there which we should be looking after. But Ministry of Tourism were supposed to answer that question yesterday. I haven't seen the answer yet. Hopefully it is positive.
It's not.
Oh, isn't it?
I don't think.
Oh, okay.
He's agreed with it. But okay, well, we've just found the answer to the reasons for traveling, and that is I am moving to Bali for work. So anyone coming for mudik or end of Ramadan holidays, just write down on your papers that you're moving to Bali for holiday, for work. And that is an essential travel reason, if you ask us. It's to save the Bali economy. How about that?
We certainly need it. So we have now run out of time on this wonderful dynamic webinar. The people who have participated online, I hope that you have, to all of you, thank you for joining us. This was an initiative of Now Jakarta and Now Bali to try and open up some ideas about what working from Bali is all about. We were delighted to have two fantastic lady hoteliers, Lucienne and Amanda, telling us about their unique properties. And I'm sure there's lots of others who've got great ideas too, but your properties certainly are right in the forefront. We have two working spaces, one dedicated to creativity and Genesis, and one a very popular co-working space, both of them in Canggu. And of course, we have been led down the correct path by Ibu Gilda Sagrado, who is an old friend of ours and a very experienced person in the whole promotion of Bali and one of the champions of Bali tourism. So thanks to you all, thanks to everyone who's been listening, thanks to our team behind the scenes, and thanks to Eddie for co-hosting down in Bali.
Thank you, Alistair. Thank you, Eddie.
Let's hope that this has a little bit of life to it, and let's get some people on planes, cars, boats, and get them down to Bali. Working from Bali, the future is yours. Thanks, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone.